kuya utsigaat taillutnik salillu atminikap apqtorlut atnivapqtuulluku fredaliruunaqani maani litnaurimi atanneruq arcaqerlugiukutwani taqneret imgutlu ayagiat qandulit taukut taukununqa tunumalun pillruq toilluqqani tootstun piugiaqluni manna anerortlqani arcaqerluti piugiaqlunippiuq.
12 years ago, I came to Alaska and went to the village of St. Mary's to begin teaching. And needless to say, I didn't know much about Alaska. I didn't know much about Western Alaska. And I met, one of the first people I met was a nun. It was a Catholic nun by the name of Sister Scholastica. And some of you in this room know Sister Scholastica. She's still doing the laundry at St. Mary's. And she gave me the best advice that anyone ever gave me. She said, "You're new to Alaska. You don't know anything about these people. So what I want you to do is to say very little and to listen, because there's a lot you need to learn." And it was very, very good advice, because even now, 12 years later, I still find that I do too much talking and not enough listening, because there's still a lot that the elders of this area can teach us.
Nanna timjang pilaqait. Manasin kam kuqa tawani nalnulqingaangillruqa arcaqerluni Sister Scholastica.
When I was at St. Mary's, I met students from all over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta and the coast. And in 1974, I had a class of students who I was particularly fond of. And those are these students here. And I promised them when I left St. Mary's that no matter where I went, I would always keep a picture of that class in my office, and I always have. I lived in Juneau for a while, and I kept a picture of these students on my wall in Juneau, and now here in Bethel, I keep them on my wall. And one of the reasons I do that is because I look at the various individuals, and I still keep in contact with them. And it makes me realize how much things have changed in this area, because I can see the change in these students as they grow up.
Tsali mavtki tsami tsali wimini mani qlkurlugut khani khaloruna khanatullaqa toipa tangwallami gitsat timilrit tangsugngaluki imumitstunayuqnerila.
I'll pass this around. Some people want to see it. When I look at the pictures of those students and I think about what they're doing now, one thought comes to mind: happy, living at home or living somewhere else, but happy with themselves. The students who feel good about who they are the students who did exactly what I think this conference is all about. They're the students who took time, people in their villages, and I really mean that. When I look back and I see the students again who are happy and successful, learn from people who have lived a long time and have had many rich and wonderful experiences. To conclude by again welcoming you to this week. I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us. I'm very excited about it because this week I get to be a student too. I'm going to try to sit in on as many of the talks as possible so I can learn just along with everyone else. So once again, I want to thank you for coming to Bethel, for sharing your experiences with us, and if there's anything that I can do to make your stay happier or more enjoyable, please let me know.
qoyanaqqa uniitiwaqqa nastasam qayagaullanga una qalarutkarkaugaat qailluqatuamana yuuyaraput wangkuta piciryaraput ayagturallerkaa pitlugu qalarutkarluutipillraga taparsullruunga sumigtingerma taparsullruunga ummiorteqluakuqat kui ayagriorneruama una makuunun ciuliamtun aulupkaku asinruna ayukluku ummiorteqluunga tauqamtaima iunartatiiqamtun una talleertiiqaqa tauqamtali akkanun pifkinni taimaiitiornallunrituuti til ilaatitaima peani ikaani kasigilurni uyurtllut ciuliaputqa maanikusqorfagumi kuigpagmiillu toontlunrittu pitsaqfkinniqatu toontlunrittu toontuumillruyaaqqa tauqam taima illiini talleerkatummioratuqluku piksailata toontlunrittu qanrutiimallruunga tauqam toani quyurtlerputni qailluqattuamattum yuutimta ayuuqutsian qalartlulliiniluut qalartarqu taantalleeqlulliinnerti For the benefit of those of you who have some limited understanding of the English language, let me paraphrase the main points. Very recently, when Anastasia Markham called me to speak on the issue of how you could continue with a Yupik language, Yupik values. Although I was enthusiastic about it, I also had some reservations, primarily because of the fact that I feel that it's an issue that can best be addressed by our elders. I am young, and because I am young, I feel that I have a lot to learn. But I'm going to try my best under the circumstances. Very recently, there was a conference at Qasigaluk where the elders of the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta were the prime people who attended the conference. Although I did not have the privilege of attending this conference, I understand that the main focus of the conference dealt with the issue of preserving our way of life. I would like to have been there, however, circumstances sometimes relating with job prevents that. Toalu awakan kasrunga una qalarutkarkaugaat. Soottuun ruluku maguunun taqnimtnunna auluknaayukluku pillruyaaqqa. Ukutqa tqaanamta. Taima ayuqutirtualerraakut ciunerkaputlu nasvagaqluku. Nallunerilaamingqa qaillun ciunerkaput ayuqutsia yuullruamang. Adam iverqaqqanarput. Kassatun litnaarpailamta ukut ciuliamta. Tangllruataiman alluunaituq. Qaten kassatun pioranglerkarput. Taima ilafti nallunerittlaartikuaimna qinarmiulqpaavila. Apaurluqa. Taam qanrutlallruangakkat. Ayagriorlerminiiqoq taqaami kamrakun illiini pitsaqaartufknaani kassarnikmalruunik tanglartuq. Toallu iwaaqarluni peanga tahkun mai lini nunami suattaatimi at malruunartut kassa mai tam data in late 1950s. Kan qallruq amserriinartut aluunguttiit qanriarraitlu liskufki mai asinrutiqsunarqu ummiuartutaatsia kassatun toqn qamyuunak ciuliamta ummiuartutaatsia ummiuartutaatitingullu nasval taaqunna apaaqulum kun ugillruq taum nalliini tam qalarutja tariingumallqunritaaqqa tamuklupitja takkun mai talliurangllummukun murillkuraanga qanllqapitja pitsiuppiallinilla. I somehow feel that the main speaker this morning on this subject, how you could continue with Yupik values, should be one of the elders, because in my opinion, they are the real people who should be giving us this guidance on the issue. It is them who has given us guidance so that what is left of our values can be preserved. It is them who had the wisdom to push for a Western type of education so that we could be able to at least see and hopefully understand what is happening today. For example, my grandfather, Paavila, who is from Qen'gauq, was telling me that in his youth, when he was traveling throughout the region with a sled, that sometimes he saw more than one white man in the whole region. He said, however, this in late 1950s, he said, there are more and more of them in the region, and sometimes there are even more than one white person in a village. He said at the time that you should learn their tongue, you should learn their language, so that you could at least understand what is it that you want. It was through him that the wisdom of our elders was brought forth. He saw much in advance what was going to happen today. I'm very thankful that through his wisdom that they pushed us for education. Tooslu. Jallahkamnen biqaqqnartukut. Qaillun ayagturallerkaa yuppiit piciryarrait. Nallun riduuti maarpak Qanijalista Corporation naami nunaalliurtuunga. Nunaallua qaillunaaluklerkaa talleaqaqlugu. Nunamauluklerkaa auluk qainaqumtku sakfiornaqnritsaaquk. Taugaam sakfiornariilartuq. Wangkuta piciryaraput kassallu piciryarrait. Attautiortunaqlugi aulukaaqamtku. Ciuliamta wangkutaallu Qen'gauqlu Qen'gauqnertut Nunaput. Ciuliamta mannanuna atuulalluat adam saaman annaqamta qallumai aneriarturaalartukut kassap aipamta picnic ear toil tamaattutailkan piciqukut mannanuna yumta atuuttua yuutqapperluku nunaamak pitarkan pisuuttuukut stulumunlu pitaaput llaaqluki nerraqluki toomtallu pisuuaqamta pitamta illiinia ammitaima atuutullruaput atuuraorluki piluuguurluki qallu piluugullraorluki tamakun qanqertoqat nummiorteqla nuna manna unguatkarput toomtallu imarpiim tain unguattuakut taima mattum nunam samak tikiraqaakut pilleeqstukut atuqluku quyaallalta smikuuttooraqllraidun lupeaqluta unaaqngaputlu taima ilaaput ikaayuaqluki pikumtki asiferigunaq. As most of you may know, one of my major responsibilities with Ciuliamta Corporation is to run and manage Land and Natural Resources Department. Land management in and of itself is not difficult. But if one were to look at land management strictly from standpoint of Western land management, however, it gets difficult when one begins to look at land from standpoint of Yupik values and trying to put Western values into it. The very basis of our society is land, the Yupik society. Our ancestors looked at land much the same way that we look at air we breathe today. We need air to breathe so that we may survive. In the beginning, and even today, the Yupik people has always been land users. We survived with the land and what the land provided us. Land provided us with clothing. We needed to dress ourselves so that we can protect. We can be protected from any kind of weather. Sea also provided us with clothing and food. My point here being, land is something our society has needed and will probably need for a long time to come to survive. What it has provided us, we must receive thankfully, humbly, and we must share that wealth with others. To'allu qaillunmi manna yuuyaraput yuuyaramtallu piciryaraput ayagturallerkaa qanrutiimalartukut kitaakki ciuliamta tuatun qanrutaaqam liimeruumaaqamta qallu qanrutiimaaqamta ciuliamta tsaullarta toomtallu kia elitnaurciqakut kitaaki wangkutni qalarutkarkaugaat kia elitnaurciqakut adam takuuyaqaarsi taniqlitiillu taanqerluku Quallukertqaartimaan. Elitnaurciqakut. Aqummagaartutqaniiq. Saitaqqa yuullraamang qaillun yuuyaramek saitaqanruskakut ciuliamtamakut maliigiskumt kitaima tamilliini takfiisiaaksanata yuutirsugunarqakut kitaak ciuliamta tamak qanneruartaqaatkut qoyaanarqalartorlu ajuqutiqtuugaqaatkut niitsugunilallta niitsuguniqqainarpak nataallu qanllqita illiini maliigartaqluku pikumta takfiusiaarluta pingaitunerqakut. Just who is to be our teacher?